It's May 11th, and this is frost, but it's the last frost of the season, and we can begin the garden cleanup. Hello, everybody. My name is Lori, and this is a Minnesota backyard where we look at the small joys and simple wonders found right in our own backyard. Well, it is the end of May, and what a difference a few weeks have made. We started out looking very bleak and barren, but now the yard has just sprung into life. It's as if everything is in a race to start growing as fast as possible, and there's something new to see every single day. I just love the magic of this kind of year. I love how I can walk outside every day and make a new discovery. Well, for the past couple of weeks, I've been engaged in spring cleanup, which means some raking and tidying, planting, and executing new projects. There's just a couple of tasks that I would like to share with you that form part of my spring cleanup regime. The very first task is to turn the compost, which has been sitting all winter. I do composting for a couple of different reasons. One reason is to keep food scraps out of the landfill. Food scraps represent about 20% of what ends up in the landfill. Once there, food decays anaerobically, releasing methane gas, which is much more potent as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. So by composting, we can not only reduce landfill, but we can also reduce greenhouse gases. I also do composting so I can create my own fertilizer. Mature compost looks like dirt, and I can take this and spread it on the raspberries and blueberries. So once I've gathered up the mature compost, in the compost pile, I dig out the bottom layer, which is more decomposed than the top layer. That I set to the side so that it can finish its decomposition. Once I mix the pile, it's ready to receive this year's contribution of yard debris and fruit and vegetable scraps. The current compost I spread in the garden as fertilizer. Now, in addition to composting, I can create fertilizer a little more directly with the help of my rabbit, Courgette. Courgette loves to eat the vegetable scraps that I create when I'm cooking, and the fertilizer that she produces can go directly on plants or it can go into the compost bin. Another task for spring cleanup is to cut the stems of the perennial native plants to about 12 to 14 inches. Now, a reason to cut them instead of just clearing them away is because they provide homes for the cavity-dwelling native bees. Here is the garden after the stems have been cut. Those stems will be hidden from view as the plants mature and grow up around those stems. In the meantime, the bees are already starting to find the hollow stems and start to check them out. The bees will remove the pithy material that's in those stems and will then start to create those chambers where they can lay their eggs and the larvae can develop. The month has seen exuberant growth and an explosion of flowers. Some of these flowers have already come and gone. So let's take a look at some of the blooms that happen in May. In general, most of the fruit-bearing plants have already bloomed, including the apples, cherries, plums, currants, and huckleberries. The blueberries and strawberries are still in the process of blooming. Here we can see a bee busily ensuring that there will be a good apple harvest. Some of the native Minnesota plants that bloom in May include Jacob's Ladder, which is one of the first flowers to bloom in the rain garden. By the end of May, their blooms have already faded. Shooting stars have reached their peak in mid-May. Blue-eyed grass is reaching its peak. Blue-eyed grass is really a type of iris that blooms on slender stalks that look like grass. This is a delightful little flower, and it's one of my favorites. Prairie smoke begin blooming in early May with red flowers, And now they are developing the wispy seed heads which give them their name. Golden Alexander is blooming in the rain garden right now. This is a host plant for the black swallowtail butterfly, so I always cross my fingers to hope that some may arrive. So thank you everybody for joining me, and I hope to see you again.